All right. Well, our awesome Lauren Cristaldi is going to be presenting today regarding InfoTopics. Excuse me. My name is Celia Fryer. I'm a new team member to the Zero Matrix team and stepping in for Stuart today, and just wanted to welcome you all. Thank you for coming and taking some time out of your busy day to join us for some insights from Lauren. And without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton to you, Lauren, and invite you to share with the rest of the team. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Celia. So thanks, guys, for joining today. We're going to get into some Viz extensions. It was released in one of the versions last year. It was like the big thing, in case you missed it. Basically, it allows you to create really complicated chart types that aren't necessarily out of the box for Tableau. They're usually created by third parties, so like InfoTopic is one of the main ones that we recommend. And then, yeah, so let's get into it. So if you check out the InfoTopics website, you can just Google InfoTopics. You can read about everything they have to offer. They have a lot of different extensions available. Some of their pricing is there. They do have free versions. They're just more limited and more for like demos. But for questions about pricing or anything, you can contact them from this page. The really cool thing, though, if you want to try now, you can create an account. And they actually have all of these different workbooks that they've already created with their extensions to kind of see how they look in practice. And honestly, a lot of these kind of inspired me to up my design game. So we check out the first one. Here's a Sankey, which, you can make all of these through different hacks and math and calculations. I know I've talked about creating. I created a bunch of gauges, and I think I've talked about that before if you've been on previous sessions. So I was pretty proud of myself because it was a lot of math, and it's not as easy as just bringing in an extension. You have to have the template and make sure to have those data scaffolds and everything. It's not as complicated as some other solutions, but it's still more of a lift than just adding an extension to your view and then you're good to go. Yeah, I know Sankeys are really popular. Tableau actually has a Viz extension that's through Tableau that is free, that's Sankey. But it's kind of limited on the formatting, whereas here, you can have this dynamic highlight. You can see how everything flows. And you can update those colors so that they're on brand. I think another cool part of this, we all, I'm sure, have come across like the struggle that is limited real estate on a dashboard, especially when, you're exporting or you want to put this into a slide deck or something. We only have so much room to show everything. So I really like this feature where you can zoom into these KPIs. Because otherwise we'd have to do a lot of dynamic zone and different calculations to make that possible. And it would not be as quick as this. Then I really like how they visualized the percentages as well. That's cool. I don't know if this, oh no, it's not an extension. It's gonna get they do have donut extensions out there available. I've been asking Tableau to give me an out-of-the-box donut for a while, but now with map layers, it's a little easier. I mean, the dual axis isn't too bad, but think another cool one. Yeah, being able to map out these power KPIs. So we see here's our profit ratio. What's the relationship with the other KPIs? And then it kind of breaks it down that way. And that's a really cool way to visualize and drill down. I think these are probably the most popular, the power KPIs. This is another one of my favorite ones that I found. So we have our radial bar, the power KPIs again. And these are just really useful because really they can fit into any dashboard. And we'll actually try to use this with Superstore in a minute. I just kind of wanted to go through as an intro. We could see some of the really cool extensions that they offer. Oh, it looks like you can explore. Oh. Yeah, recently I tried to make this without an extension or something similar, and it is a lot of math and very complicated. So it's really nice. I think this one also has their super tables. So yeah, and here you can actually start filtering within the column. And Tableau has its own version of this as well. It's just not as polished or capable as this is. And you can't do as much like custom formatting on the Tableau out of the box, well, extension from Tableau. Oh, and this last one, for my fellow Lord of the Rings fans, these are really cool because they have the images and how they're related to the other images or characters or places. And unless you're running a business that is about Lord of the Rings, you could also use this to show relationships with customers and distributors or manufacturers, different routes. So there are definitely business applications to this. All right, I'll just pause here. Any questions? Or did you guys want to see anything? If you sign up, you can download these workbooks as well and play with them. Cool. Okay. So in that case, let's see this more in practice as we're building them out. So when you're in Tableau desktop or on the web, you can create a new sheet. I'm just connected to Superstore. You go into the marks card. I kind of went through that kind of fast. You add an extension under the Viz extensions, and here's the entire library. So not just InfoTopics, but like the data viz, and I think Actin Vision has a few. Let's start with the Tableau Sankey. So if we open this up, one thing to call out with extensions, when you, depending on who you're getting the extension from, when you try to export to PDF or put this in a slide deck, I know the Tableau one doesn't let you do that. So it's just going to look blank in your dashboard when you export it. So that's one of the drawbacks. I think they might be working on it, but that is to be determined. I think InfoTopics lets you, if you pay for a different license type, it will let you do that. But yeah, I would check on their pricing page about that, or if you decide to contact them. Yeah, I just wanted to call that out because I ran into that recently. It was kind of disappointing. But if you want to host this on the web, in Tableau Cloud and share it with other users on your site, then it works fine. So for the Sankey, if we brought out like customer, might be too many customers. So if we do, let's just do the top 10. There are top 10 customers of all time. And here we can see within the top 10, we have furniture, office supplies, and technology. And this is how they're all interacting with those. We can adjust the size of the link. So our number one customer is actually Sean Miller, because his square is larger, or rectangle. And it's mostly going to technology. So he's spending the most money in technology. So it's kind of cool. You can see how these different dimensions relate to one another. Whereas you could see the numbers, but I think this is more impactful. It's just like in one glance, you can tell, oh, Sean Miller's spending the most money, and he's spending the most money on products under technology or in technology. So now we have our top customers. And if we wanted to look up another one, I would say, let's do another Tableau one. Now we'll bring in customer name. So we drop all of our measures and dimensions in here. And we can have more detail than what is in the Sankey. So we can still have customer and category. And we'll add in the subcategory, different products. And I'll drop in sales and profit. And up here, it lets you adjust the settings. So you want to show those filters, kind of like what we saw in the InfoTopics one. And this is cool because you can eliminate the null values without having to put that in the filters. It's just one of these options. I think this data is pretty clean, so. What you type into the filter can be either contains an exact match or starts with, which is cool. And the Excel download is nice too. So because this defaults to a single row per line, that's going to make that Excel export a lot cleaner. We can adjust the widths of our columns. And I like that you can adjust the profit within this range too. We can also format this. That was the settings. Oh, there we go. They moved it around. So yeah, this is where we go in and change how we have things formatted. It allows for conditional formatting, which is really cool. Usually that's calculation. So let's look for maybe only the let's highlight things that are negative. So our profit that's negative versus our profit that's positive. And now this will call out the products that have negative profit. So that'll be our top customers table. So those are the two that Tableau offers. Let's see how they compare to InfoTopics. Here's the InfoTopics. So if we just wanted to do the same thing as our other Sankey, customer name, we'll filter it again just so that we get the top. Sales is our measure. I also like how they have this labeled. So I think it's a little more, it makes a little more sense. Saying these are our dimensions, our measures, in any detail. And they have a lot more options in terms of formatting and sorting. So we just want to sort everything high to low. I'm actually super impressed with all of the formatting options. Yeah, I feel like I could just spend the whole time like going through all these formatting options. I feel like we don't really need the legend since we have the customers' names here. It is a nice option. This will be our InfoTopics Sankey. And let's see how different their table is. The super table. Bring in that customer name. So do similar to our other one. Yeah, and just like with the Sankey, so many more options. Including anonymizing the data, which is great if you're wanting to share outside of your group or externally. Let's try one of their. Yeah, that's really cool. And it gives us a total down here. Also, if you want to create multiple, once you've in the same workbook loaded one viz extension, it'll be available here. So you don't have to search for it every time. Since the Power KPIs are the most popular, let's pull in some of these as well. We want to look at sales. Let's do order date. And that was so fast. I mean, I've made a lot of these, but it would still take me, I'd have to make a few different sheets, put it on a dashboard, have fun with containers, apply all the formatting, make sure everything is padded and sized and distributed evenly. And I mean, in this, it could take, a lot of time potentially, depending on how many cards. So it's nice. I mean, that took seconds. Just checking out the other. Oh, and it also allows you, it works with the dashboard actions, which is nice. Not all of them do, so. And this is where we could either have a grid, which is like your traditional KPIs, or this tree layout. It looks like they give really good instructions. I wonder if we just add. Yeah, that might be too many. But maybe we just want our subcategory. So if we throw that in there. But it looks like this data isn't the best for this use case. But for these high level KPIs, if you just want to see totals for the different categories or anything that gets rolled up, this is really nice and easy. Now maybe we can try sunbursts are cool. And radars are hard. You really need the data to be in a certain format. Let's see if it works. Let's try, the different categories. And do this based on sales. Yeah, and here we can see it drawing different customer behavior. So if we were to filter to 1, yeah, and that's pretty cool. Usually you have to make sure your data is in a very specific format, and then it requires additional calculations. I'd say usually I use radars if I have like some kind of survey data or scoring. But they definitely don't look as clean as this. Just so we can compare on the dashboard. Okay, so we already have that. Oh, you have to do use all and then the top. Let's do one more and then we can add these to the dashboard. Create a dashboard. Let's try this sunburst. We do sales. And now you're going from like a Krispy Kreme donut, just glazed, to one of those super fancy, like a cronut or something.
I'm totally loving that analogy right there, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Can you tell I haven't had lunch yet?
This is so much nicer than what was. I have tried to do this recently, and has been kind of a mess, like within the last year.
Yeah, it is. It's really difficult to get them to all sort correctly. I because of map layers, I started making donuts with map layers, and then to give this sunburst, if you add another layer on there, and then you combine like category and subcategory and sort based on that combined field, it actually works.
Well, that's really nice.
It's not as easy as this.
No, no doubt.
Let's call this our sunburst. See how much it'll let us put the labels. Yeah, and in here we can thousands. Yeah, it makes the formatting a lot easier too. Because I've definitely spent way too long trying to figure out where that one line that I was trying to get rid of existed before.
It's tough stuff. Freehand, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Let's see how this is going to look in a dashboard. This is the size that I use a lot. I've gotten that question before of like what the best fixed size or custom size is. I use 13 by 1000 a lot, or 16 by 900 is like your standard PowerPoint size. So it kind of just depends on where viewers are going to access it. So if you're exporting it to PowerPoint or PDF, or you're just viewing it on the web, it's all dependent on the end viewer, really, how they're consuming it. I was trying to think, let's see. If we're going to compare our Sankeys, let's put those in a container. Also compare our tables. And as a trick with containers, if you find that when you put a container within a new container, that it gets lost. Happens a lot, still happens to me sometimes. If you just put something blank, like a blank object in there, while you're trying to get everything laid out, then it won't get absorbed by that other container, especially if you do distribute evenly. Then you'll be able to find that divider line easier. So we can bring this other container in and they'll stack evenly. Nothing to do with viz extensions, just like to talk about containers because I feel like Celia, you and I were talking about that. There's not a lot out there.
No, this is not. And the stuff that's out there is attempts at helpfulness, but not super clear.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to, yeah, let's put that there. I just can't get over how much I like these Power KPIs.
And remind me, is the Power KPIs, that was the InfoTopics ones?
Yes, so the only Tableau ones would be our Sankey and then the table. And then InfoTopics has just a crazy range of different visualizations, chart types.
And the Power KPIs, are they free to use, or are they for fee?
So they are technically free. I'd say most Viz extensions, even if you select that option where you just want to view free ones, you'll get a limited version of it. But it's not like the Tableau one, this is free and there's no message about, to unlock everything else, you need to pay the fee.
Yeah, those KPIs are top notch.
Yeah, and I really like that there's just so many options, and then that drill down like we had over here. Because I feel like traditionally, you'd have this in a grid and you kind of lose those relationships.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it had this action. I haven't used their sunburst too much. That's really cool too, because if you don't have enough space, if you select furniture, now you can just see the subcategories within that category.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Are there any questions?
I don't see any in the chat. Y'all feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat. Personally, I looked away for just a second when you were doing the Power KPIs. Do you mind just running them back through how those got configured one more time? I
Yeah.
missed something, and I'm not.
Yeah, no problem. So because I used them before, I don't have to look them up again, which is nice.
Right.
So if we bring out a dimension, so one by category, sorry, we want this by so the measure names are going to be our different cards. So category, measure values, we'll add a date in there. I just did order date. So it can create that over
Good.
time.
That's beautiful. Oh,
Yeah, it took like 5 seconds.
yes, right.
I just can't
Compared to
get
what
over
it,
that.
no, I know, right? It's usually kind of a heavy lift to make that artful.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it calculates your versus previous, which is nice. In this case, it's on year, but we could change this to the month. I mean, that's several calculations right there.
We've got some compliments in the channel. And you also want to tell them where they're going to be able to find the recording of this session, please.
Oh, yeah. So we post these on our YouTube channel. So Zeomatrix at YouTube, on YouTube. And you can view all of the previous recordings there as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, make sure to check out the InfoTopics website. Sign up. You can download all these demo workbooks, which are really, this is a brilliant way of, showing what you can do.
Totally agree.
I know we have about 10 minutes left, so if you guys have any other questions, or even if it's not related to Viz extensions, maybe just containers or something.
So it seems like, Lauren, you have a kind of a strategy of how you start your containers. Do you want to speak about that for just a moment? Because I do think that that's how people struggle to get started.
Yeah. So let me create a new dashboard. So I like to start my containers by floating the pieces. So I'll have one giant container, which is the grandparent or great grandparent sometimes. Then I'll have a smaller container that I'll put in. So let's just put in a blank object. I always start float a container, put in a blank object on tiled within that container. So now we can see that object in there. Set to distribute contents evenly, just so as we put more objects in there, it'll distribute evenly. If it turns out you want things to be a fixed size within it and you don't want it to be distributed evenly, you can always adjust that later. This just makes it easier as you're putting more objects or worksheets within that container. Then if this is for the whole dashboard, I will make another container. I'll put it sorry, within this one. And another note, or call out, I found that floating them at first, and then eventually you'll tile them, but when you float them at first, even when it's smaller, you can still get objects in there a little easier. I don't know why, but just one of the mysteries of containers. Also, when you double click on something within a container, you'll notice that this highlight around it is blue instead of gray. So if you have an object or a worksheet, excuse me, then it's going to be a gray outline in this tab at the top. But if you're actually selecting a container, it's going to be blue.
That right there was super helpful for me, by the way, the blue versus gray. I'm not sure. I've been using Tableau for so many years, it's almost, and almost reluctant to admit it, but I did not realize that. And so you were showing me that not too long ago. That was super helpful.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't realized it until like a year ago or a couple years ago.
Makes
Well,
me
then can
wonder
you
if they
repeat that
changed
note?
it.
Because I want to hear it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when you have an object within a container and say, oh, well, I want to select the container that this object is in or worksheet, you can tell what you're selecting either, and actually there's another way. You can go to the item hierarchy in the layout, and you can see, okay, this blank object is within a horizontal container, or I'm sorry, within the vertical container. And then the horizontal container is also within that vertical.
Now, sometimes I have a hard time getting the right menu depending on what I'm selecting. Is there a way to kind of get around that, or is there? I'm a Tableau baby, so.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. So I'd say, like, if you're just wanting to see if you're selecting a worksheet or object versus a container, then the outline and the tab at the top are going to be gray for objects and worksheets. And if you double click on that tab at the top, then it'll be blue for any containers.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
and
resending that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Evelyn, I don't disagree. Sometimes it's hard to grab the edges, especially if you've got a dashboard that's kind of full and you've already filled it out and made it go edge to edge. You're in good company that's giving you a little hard, a little hard time there.
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first started making dashboards, I floated everything, and it was, I just don't know even how I did that before, because I
That's what I'm doing right
Same.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you have to start though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easier just to float it when you're first starting out, because you can, like, oh, I have control over this, you know, the sizing, the positioning. But once you have more objects in there, you'll start to notice, oh, like this one, let's do. This is still within a container, but let's just bring out some of the other sheets. So you can try to get these to be similar sizes, but it's really hard. And the more objects or worksheets that you have on the dashboard, the more difficult it gets to try to, size everything the same. Whereas if I put this new worksheet, it's not in a container, into this container, I have it set to distribute evenly already. I only have to size this one thing, and it's all distributed evenly. Things are matching up, and it offers a more polished end result. So yeah, I'm a big supporter of containers. So I'm always happy to, share what I've learned over the years, how to best use them.
That's great. Yeah, you definitely mastered them. And you also have such an eye for clean aesthetics on dashboards. So it's good.
Yeah,
Really
thank you.
good. Any other questions, folks, before we wrap up today?
I came really late. Is this recorded? And will I be able to find it somewhere?
Yes, we posted on the Zeo Matrix YouTube channel. And yes, for sure. You bet. Glad you were able to join us whenever you could break away. So,
Yeah, thank you.
all right, Lauren, I think we're almost top of the hour. Thank you so much for sharing out the wealth of your experience and knowledge. It's always a joy to get to watch you and to learn from you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.